Okay, let's go. Hi, muckers. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing very, very, very well. Okay, for today's video, let's just get right into it because I'm really fascinated by what is going on. So, James Charles made a recent response video to Be Better and Zach, who is Evan Johnson's friend, ex-friend, who Be Better did this live sit down interview with that I actually just posted on, which is why I'm immediately diving into this video because I've got to hear what, B. Petter is saying now. But basically, James responded to this interview that they did and is basically going after them legally. And I know that Be Better has done this video where, they're sitting down and addressing it. And I'm just really curious as to what this video is going to entail. Now, I just want to preface this with one thing. I know, in situations like this, there's a lot of people that can get involved and it can get messy and all like this. And I know that Kayla has shared this same frustration, but I don't want to kind of sidestep too much. I want us all to remember that ultimately this has to do with Kayla speaking up against her, abusive ex-boyfriend, who's now locked up, by the way, Evan. And while I know that there's, James is now suing people that are involved in this, that are a part of the story. I just want us to always remember that the story at its core that we need to remember and that is important is that Kayla spoke up and she got her justice, and just to never forget where this all came from. So let's get into it. Let's see what Be Better's response is to James Charles saying that he is coming after them legally for the interview. Ooh, hello.
And I'll start by saying that the reason why I haven't addressed all of this sooner is not because I've been ignoring the situation like some people have said. It's because I've been looking into it. So for those of you that may not know what I'm talking about, in the week since my interview was posted, there have been numerous and deeply disturbing allegations made against Zach Sellers, the individual that I interviewed. Now, these are
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so I just finished watching. See, this is what happens when you do it in order. You find out in the order. So, Be Better did the interview with Zach, who was Evan's ex-best friend, who was speaking up in support of Kayla. But now we have an update that Zach has allegations.
Potential crimes that we're talking about. And anytime a situation is as severe as that, my last priority is going to be to jump on TikTok and performatively make a video distancing myself, which seems to be...
Who is this motherfucker? Where have they came from?
What people wanted me to do. Instead, I have been spending the past week speaking to the victims, gathering as much information as I can to ensure that I have a full picture of what happened so I can speak as accurately as possible.
I'm sorry, is Be Better a fucking journalist or something? Oh, I find this really interesting. Oh, these bitches are not journalists. Oh my god. I'm not a journalist. These fucking commentary channels, drama channels, they are not journalists. Like, the way that some of them really speak about themselves is like, oh gosh, you think you are so much more talented than what you are. Or so much better than what you are. Oh, sorry. Don't mean to just be a little bitch there, but it really does piss me off.
So in this video, I'm going to try and address everything from the narratives that have been circulating online, as well as the many lies that James Charles said in his response video, and then in the end, everything to do with the allegations made against Zach Sellers. So I want to start by addressing the narrative that is honestly the most hurtful to me, which is that I did this interview for attention or financial gain, or to monetize the horrific trauma experienced by Kayla. So I just want to be clear about the facts.
Interesting. So I just really quickly want to go on Be Better's page. Oh my god. Sorry, my Lady Gaga just started playing. Be Better. Okay. Be Better's YouTube channel. Now, here's the thing. Judging by some of this content, it definitely seems that for someone who only recently started making like drama content or content calling out people, that, you're, hopping on what's working for you right now, which, doing this interview, by James Charles and really getting yourself involved, and then this fucking journalistic approach. I mean, it kind of gives a little bit of grifting, if I'm being honest. No hate to this person, but I can understand the narratives of people being like, you're jumping on this for your own attention or own clout or own ability to make money. I'm like, yeah, you kind of give grifter a little bit. No shade. No shade at all.
I invested my own money from my own pocket in producing this interview, knowing full well it would be a financial loss to me, purely because I felt it was a story, and still very much feel it is a story, that the world deserved to know, in which one of the biggest influencers on the planet is a now self-admitted abuse enabler.
I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm on your side with everything you're saying and exposing about James here. I just also think you're kind of like a little bit of a grifter in this. I think Zach is as well.
Number 2. The small amount of money that was made from the interview, I believe it was about $1,500, was already donated to a domestic violence charity called No More. I learned about them during the Blake Lively case, and it was donated in Kayla's name, and that was my plan from the very beginning. In addition to that,
we don't know whether or not that was true, so take it with a pinch of salt.
The only reason this interview existed in the first place is because it was a story that Kayla wanted the world to know. And had it not been for her direct involvement, for her blessing and her encouragement, I never would have done the interview in the first place. And if at any point in time she changed her mind, I would have pulled the plug on the entire thing. And lastly, I just want to remind people that the first words out of my mouth in that interview was reminding the audience to pause and please watch Kayla's videos first, and make sure that I was redirecting all of the attention back toward her, and ensuring that the audience understood that everything we were about to speak to obviously came in second to her story. So I want to underscore the social significance of this story and why I ultimately reject the narrative that this is just TikTok drama. So in every case of abuse, there is the person that commits the
Was anyone saying that it was just TikTok drama?
Abuse, and there's someone who enables it. Sometimes it's a friend who turns a blind eye. Sometimes it's a coworker who notices a bruise and doesn't say anything. And sometimes it's the biggest influencer on the planet named James Charles Dickinson, who by his own omission...
Girl, saying the full name was a little bit cringe. I'm gonna be honest there. Come on. It was a little bit cringe. James Charles Dickinson. Okay, girl, whatever.
Was explicitly told from his friend that she, quote, experienced the worst things a human being has ever experienced, and that she was abused. And the word abuse was in fact used. His response to that, by his own admission, was to say, "Can I have him now?" And then proceed to develop a friendship with him and fly him to his home for 4 nights.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Is there any way to... You speak incredibly slow. Goodness.
After, by multiple witness accounts, he was flirting with him, sexually attracted to him, pursuing him even when Kayla and Evan were still together. And now, after his reputation is what it is, being a liar and a self-admitted child predator, was arrogant enough to make a video screaming at the camera like a petulant child having a temper tantrum, as if it was completely absurd that people believed that there was sexual undertones of their friendship. So one of the many lies said by James Charles in his response video was his reasoning as to why he didn't speak sooner, which was he was so worried that a TikTok video he made...
Yeah, it's all bullshit. Like, I agree with you completely what you're saying about James. There's just... The way you're phrasing some things and the way you're talking, I'm like...
could negatively impact the outcome for Kayla. Now, the reason why this is untrue is because there was no trial between Kayla Malik and Evan Johnson. There was a sentencing hearing between the Crown and Evan Johnson in which charges were pressed and in which he pled guilty to. So there was no jury, there was no ongoing trial, and the idea that anything James Charles said in a TikTok video was going to be used is
I
completely
agree.
untrue
I agree.
and was a clever way for him to deflect the
I
real
agree.
reason
I
as to
agree.
why he didn't address all of this,
I agree.
which is that he was caught red-handed.
Also, his video literally came out after Kayla, you know, the court sided with her. So he wasn't gonna lose anything in speaking up now. He can't fuck Evan no more, you know what I mean?
Now, there was a very obvious logical contradiction made in James's response video, which was the way he attempted to absolve himself was by minimizing the friendship he had with Kayla, by saying, I didn't really know her that well. But then the follow-up question to that would be, if you didn't know Kayla that well, then how well could you have possibly known Evan Johnson, someone who you only knew through Kayla? And the implication is you actually didn't know him at all. He was a stranger to you. Yet you still believed him over her, gave him advice, flew him to your home,
Crazy.
lied to Kayla when she asked you if he's at your
Crazier.
house. And one of the worst aspects, in my opinion, was you actually weaponized the information that Kayla confided in you with when she said, I experienced horrific things.
Again, what we're being told is when Kayla opened up to James about, you know, going to make this series about Evan and stuff, that James told Evan, which, by the way, and I saw a lot of you in the comments bringing this up, which I was so glad because I didn't bring it up in the video myself. I don't think it can be explained enough how much James Charles risked her life by letting her abuser know that she was planning on exposing him publicly. When things like that happen, the abuser will do something to make sure that doesn't happen. So James Charles directly put her life in danger because he wanted brownie points, I guess.
And I'm putting together a 30-part Who the F Did I Marry series on the abuse I suffered. Screenshotted that and sent it to Evan as a way to exploit the vulnerability and anxiety he felt over Kayla coming forward with the horrific abuse that she suffered, and then offering yourself as a shoulder to cry on because we all know you want to get in his pants. James also lied in his video when he announced to 50 million people that he was actively pursuing legal action, yet never filed anything.
Oh.
I found this a little bizarre because it's been weeks now, and he could have easily already filed a bare bones legal complaint that could have been amended or withdrawn later, but he didn't. And I believe the reason he didn't is that he never actually intended to, and instead was using it as a scare tactic so people stop speaking out against him.
Wow.
And I think James knows what a lawsuit entails, and if we look at what he is truly denying, and out of the entirety of all the allegations, the single solitary minute detail that he denies is that him and Evan Johnson ever ended up having sex. So if that is what the defamation suit is circulating around, the first thing that is going to be looked into during the discovery process is whether or not there were any sexual undertones between their interactions. And I think that is, number one, the very reason why he will not file a lawsuit, because he definitely has something to hide. If he didn't, he wouldn't be scared of the discovery process and having all of his messages
Again, discovery is when you can basically be asked to give everything, text message, calls, and you have to give it all.
entered into the public record through subpoenas. And number two, it's also the reason why in his response video, he didn't include any messages between him and Evan Johnson, which would have easily proven his innocence. Now, the allegations regarding Zach Sellers are completely disgusting. And I immediately confronted him the second that I saw Devin's video, to which
Oh my God.
he did not respond, and I've not heard from him since, which
Oh my God.
isn't really screaming innocent. I would be dishonest if I sat here and said that these allegations don't add a layer of complexity to this entire ordeal. I also can't tell you that I'm surprised that the individual who was always the best friend of Evan Johnson, someone who almost unalived Kayla, ended up having a shady past. What I can say I'm completely shocked by and have lost sleep over is the sheer stupidity that went into the decision to jump at the chance to sit down for an interview with me.
Yeah,
In which
literally.
the subject matter revolved around James Charles, someone who is historically and infamously condemned for messaging minors, in which Zach very well knew he had possibly engaged in the same behavior in
What
his
the
past.
fuck?
I don't understand the psychology that went into that. I don't understand that he likely, presumably thought that this wouldn't come out. It is a complete mystery to me. If you are someone who is a victim of Zach Sellers, please email me your story and your information and your evidence, as I am personally compiling a document of all the allegations and bringing it to law enforcement, which is where these allegations belong. There was absolutely no way for me to have known that these allegations existed beforehand, and the purpose of the interview was not to platform him, but to extract information, which is exactly what I did. And I'm glad to say that his TikTok account has now been banned. And for those of you saying I am a grifter, despite the fact that I have never made $1 from my content, and that this type of content does not benefit my business in any way.
Well, all of that can be argued, though. All of that can be argued the opposite. I disagree with that point completely.
I just want to say that I do this as a hobby. I enjoy investigating things, which is why I'm going to continue doing that. And I do not see it as my job to infantilize my audience. I trust their intelligence, and I trust their ability to view information and to extract their own logical conclusions from it. Hi.
What an interesting... Jesus Christ. Wow, there are so many layers to this. Again, cannot stress enough that it is so important to remember Kayla originally speaking out, because there's so much, that is going on now as well, and nothing can take away from that because we can multitask. Wow, this Zach Seller does an interview in support of Kayla, speaking out against her ex-best friend, Evan, but then now has allegations against him, even though the interview that he did was about James Charles, who also has had similar allegations. Like, are these people really stupid, or are they... Like, what? This is crazy. And then James saying he's going to sue. We're now being told apparently we haven't seen any documents. Like, these tactics, this manipulation from everyone is so fucking weird. Weird. Let me know your opinion. Let me know your opinion on Be Better, by the way. I will see you in my next one, and bye.